Welcome to Women and Resistance, a powerful podcast where we honor the courage, resilience, and revolutionary spirits of women across the globe. Hosted by Fubara Eneli Esquire and Adesoji Iginla, we uncover untold stories of defiance against systemic oppression, whether colonialism, racism, sexism, or economic injustice. From historic icons like Winnie Mandela and Fannie Lou Hamer to today's trailblazers, we shine a light upon those shaping a more just world. This is a call to honor the past, embrace the present, and build an empowered future. Yes, greetings, and welcome to another episode of Women and Resistance. I am co-host Adesoji Iginla. With me, as usual, is my sister from another mother, Sister Ayayi Fubara Eneli Esquire. And today, it's the turn of another exemplary woman, and she's known for short as Biddy Mason. And my sister will take us through her life and times, and we should indulge her with questions when the need arises. Sister, welcome. Yes, Biddy Mason. We know that she was born in August of 1818. Wow. Could you tell us what her earlier years were like?
So we cleaning, we doing all the chores like Massa and Massa's wife want us to do. And Massa come in very excited and say, get dressed, put on your Sunday clothes, get ready, leave the chores. I look at Massa's wife. I look at my mommy, say, do what Massa say. Me, I was happy to not have the chores for that time. I got dressed. Even Massa's wife came and was trying to fix me up somehow. Said they have a surprise for me. I was passing the garden. I saw this flower. I just put the flower on the side of my hair. And then in the distance, there's these wagons coming. When the visitors reach the house, they say, oh, come. And then also, I see my younger sister, Hannah. She too, they say, come. But me first. And then Massa give me as a gift, a wedding gift to the son and daughter, that the daughter-in-law, they're getting married. And before I can say goodbye to my people, told, just carry your things, a little bag, nothing, a knapsack, nothing, we didn't have much. And we're gone. Me and my sister and two other of us, because they called us slaves. We're not slaves. They're the slave masters, enslave us, but we're called slaves. But that was my life, because this time that I was given as a gift, that make for me 4 masters. My life is not my own. Wherever they say go, eat, sit, sleep, cook, clean. I learn a lot of things. I learn from the older women, the Black women. I learn about the herbs, learn about the taking care of babies, learn about the animals. My new master's name, Robert Smith, and they get involved in this Mormon church. They get so involved in the church, they call them the Mississippi Saints. And when the leader of the Mormon church was killed, they said, okay, that place is not safe anymore for them. And so a whole number of the families decide they're going. Brigham Young, some of you may know Brigham Young University. Brigham Young, the new leader, said, everybody go to Utah. They're going to set up their own place in Utah. Still today, Mormons everywhere own Utah. From where we was at that time to go to Utah, I didn't calculate myself what I heard. 1,700 miles. So think about this. It's wagons for the wives and the children, and sometimes the masters on horses. They mostly took slaves strong enough. And most of us, we walk behind the wagons with the goats and the sheep. 7. I had a baby when we started on this trip. So I was carrying a baby with me and cooking wherever we stopped, cooking for the master and his wife and children, cooking for all the slaves, the people that they took with them, taking care of all the animals. 7, walking. Then we get to Utah. While we on this trip, Massa having his way with any of us, with his wife, with me, and with my sister Hannah. My sister Hannah end up, before I tell that part of the story where we became free, my sister Hannah, 8 children. We don't write name of who the father is. Some people say Massa is the father of all, especially if the child come out, you can tell if it's white and black. But there were also a lot of what you now call Native Americans. We call them Indians. There's a lot of Indians too. And we used to sometimes interact with the Indians. And so we get to Utah and we set up shop. And I have my second and my third child in Utah. And then Massa get it in his head again. And after 2 years in Utah, this same Mississippi Saints, not everybody, but some of them now decide they're going to go to San Bernardino in California, looking for more space, greener pastures, more ways to make money. But the Mormon church leader told them, though, California, free state. I didn't go to school. I didn't read. So these things I find out later. Some things we hear, but we don't understand everything. So Utah, you can have slaves. Mississippi, Georgia, have slaves. California, free state.
Meaning?
Meaning you're not supposed to have slaves in California. But here the funny thing about America and American law. In California, like everywhere else in the country, a black person, a slave, cannot go to the court and testify against a white person.
Even though your
So if you can't testify, even if the laws say you are free, who's gonna talk for you in the court to tell your story that you're not free?
Interesting.
So one hand say black people are free, and many free black people in San Bernardino when we went. Even as we're going from Utah to California, we're meeting black people who are free. And they're saying, you don't have to be a slave. But all I know is to be a slave. Where do I go to be free? Where, who, how? So we went with Massa and his children. So Massa has 6 children with his wife. Me, I have 3. Hannah, 8. Hannah's daughter, Anne, 1.
With whom?
The records don't say whom, so I can't answer that question. But my daughter, Ellen, had 3 daughters. My daughter, Ellen, she was fair-skinned. So while we are in Utah, now we're in California. Now, while we're in California, still doing all the work, bringing in money for the massa, taking care of the animals, taking care of any of massa's wife, the children, any of the slaves have children. I'm the midwife for everybody. Massa get paid for me to be midwife for other people. But we, in California, we black people, when we have free time, we're also going and having times with the free black people. So we're mixing as we do our chores, we're mixing as we go to the market, we're hearing from them. And my daughter, Ellen, she and the Owens family boy, they become close. And the Owens boy wants to marry my daughter, Ellen.
Okay.
And the Owens family, they are free black. And so things was getting a little uncomfortable for massa. And not my massa anymore, but that's what we call him at the time. And he gets a notion to move from California and move to Texas.
Why?
Why Texas? Because Texas is slave state.
Okay.
Massa is getting concerned because some people not happy about him having slaves. So when I tell my new friends, the Owens family, they had a business. They used to deliver things to like the army, to the military. They had a delivery business, very successful. So when I tell them we're going to be leaving soon, they said, go to where? Said Texas. Said, no, you can't let yourself go to Texas. Texas is a slave state. So they're explaining you are free, but how am I going to be free? So Ellen too did not want
to leave, obviously, because
leave.
of the, yeah.
And then one of Harriet's daughters, Hannah's daughter, Harriet is my daughter too, but one of Hannah's daughter, she was also close now with one of the Mexicans that worked with the Owens family. He too liked her. He too wanted to marry her. So everybody concerned about
the proposed move.
This, yes. So we, at first, we didn't know what to do. We can't walk into a court and, where we going to run, who we going to go to. So the Owens family went and talked to the sheriff. So Robert and Charles Owens, they went and talked to the sheriff. And the sheriff comes with a group of armed people, armed men. They waylay us, they stop us while we're at the Cajon Pass. We're already leaving
California,
San Bernardino, heading towards, but we're still in
California,
in the area. Yes. And they just come and intercept. And what they did, they arrest all of us, the black people, because that's how to protect us. They arrest us and put us in the jail and issued, they call it habeas corpus, to Robert Smith. Basically, you are imprisoning these people against their will. You have to come to court to come and prove your case. So Robert and Charles Owens used their money and hired a lawyer, a white lawyer. That's the only kind of lawyer at that time you can hire.
Okay.
And the judge for the case was Judge Hayes. But before we can now go to trial, Robert Smith now pays
your lawyer,
a white attorney, a white lawyer, and he doesn't come to court. So if the white lawyer does not come and does not tell our story,
you can't represent yourselves in court.
But then Robert Smith also did not come to court because in case there's a ruling against him. So he didn't come to court either. So this Judge Hayes made a decision.
Which is?
He decided he gonna talk to us in his chamber, not in the court. He gonna listen to our story. That is a thing that these judges did not do. So the judge talked to us and we tell our story. And we tell how Master Robert telling us we must go to Texas, that we have no choice, but did not tell us that Texas is a slave state.
Which is why he wanted to move there.
So after the judge listened to us, they put us back in the prison. And the judge was thinking about the case for 3 days. And the governor of California says, don't be a fool. Give the black people, give those slaves back to their master. Don't be a fool.
Despite the fact that the state was a free state?
Well, because even though black people were free, black people were not equal. Some people still want to see us only as slaves. And the governor and other people advising the judge said, if you free them, many white people are not going to like you. You make life very difficult for yourself. So Judge Hayes thought about it 3 days. 3 days we are sitting. We are already in the prison for some time before
the case came.
Yes. Now we're sitting, waiting to find out, will we be free? Will we be slaves? Ellen fretting because she's in love. She wants to stay and marry the Owens boy. Me, I was 38. I was tired of someone else always having control over me. I had used my eyes, my 2 eyes, to see free Black people. They come and go. They marry. They do how they want. They work. They save their own money. I too wanted that. But how to get that? When we find out that the money that the Owens family already paid for the lawyer gave back because Robert Smith paid him more money not to come. Everything looked like I and my children would never be free. And my sister, now she have a grandbaby, and still we don't see how we can be free. At 3 days, 1856, in the Mason v. Smith case, State of California, County of Los Angeles, before the Honorable Benjamin Hayes, Judge of the District Court of the First Judicial District, State of California, County of Los Angeles. Before this man, they're making all this announcement in court. And we just sitting and looking, sitting and praying. And a lot of Black people there, the free Black people there, watching, praying, hoping. And then they start to say, in the matter of Hannah and her children, Anne and Mary, child of Anne, Lawrence, Nathaniel, Jane, Charles, Marlon, Martha, and an infant boy 2 weeks old. This man gonna have us on the road from California to Texas, and Hannah just had a baby, said, and of Biddy and her children, Ellen, Anne, and Harriet, on petition for habeas corpus. Now, on this 19th day of January, in the year of our Lord 1806, the said persons above named are brought before me in the custody of the sheriff of said county, except said Hannah and infant boy 2 weeks old, who are satisfactorily shown to be too infirm to be brought before me, and except Lawrence, who is necessarily occupied in waiting on his said mother Hannah, and Charles, who is absent in San Bernardino County, but within said judicial district, and Robert Smith, claimant, also appears with his attorney, Alonzo Thomas Esquire, but Robert Smith didn't come, just his attorney.
You are listening to Women and Resistance with Aya Fubara Eneli Esquire and Adesoji Iginla, where we honor the voices of women who have shaped history through courage and defiance. If you're finding these stories inspiring, take a moment to subscribe, share, and support this platform. Together, we amplify the voices that deserve to be heard. Now, back to the conversation.
And the judge, he keeps talking all of these things, naming all the ages of the children of all of us. And then he says that all of us have resided with the said Robert Smith for more than 4 years, which is our time in California. And since some time in the year of our Lord 1851 in the state of California, and it is there and is further appearing that the said Robert Smith left and removed from the state of Mississippi more than 8 years ago with the intention of not returning thereto, but of establishing himself as a resident in Utah Territory, and more than 4 years ago left and removed from said Utah territory with the intention of residing and establishing himself in the state of California, and has so resided in said last mentioned state since some time in the year of our Lord 1851. And we're just listening. We're listening. We're looking at the free Black people who read, who are literate, and we're looking at their faces for them to give a sign with all the words that are being used. We understand some, we don't understand all of the legal words. Are we free or are we not? And we're sitting there, heart beating, the little children holding themselves, we're holding them, afraid. Can you imagine, as a mother, the hopes and dreams of my children? Ellen looking back at the Owens boy praying, holding his eyes shut, praying. And then the judge said, and it further appearing by satisfactory proof to the judge here that all the said persons of color are entitled to their freedom and are free. Oh, free. Okay, we catch ourselves. We're waiting. The judge look at us. We're waiting. We better act good, cause holding the children, body shaking, sitting, shaking. And he said, all of the said persons of color are entitled to their freedom and are free and cannot be held in slavery or involuntary servitude. It is therefore argued that they are entitled to their freedom and are free forever. Free forever. Free forever. And the Black people, they're clapping. I can't clap. We go. They can take us back to free. Free. What they mean that? Free. I ain't never been free. Never been free. And the judge wasn't done talking. He said, and it further appearing to the satisfaction of the judge here that the said Robert Smith intended to and is about to remove from the state of California, where slavery does not exist, to the state of Texas, where slavery of Negroes and persons of color does exist, and is established by the municipal laws, and intends to remove the said before mentioned persons of color to his own use without the free will and consent of all or any of the said persons of color, whereby their liberty will be greatly jeopardized. And there is good reason to apprehend and believe that they may be sold into slavery or involuntary servitude for masters.
Yes.
My children only don't want to go another place, and my children sold like the goats. And he said, it further appearing that none of the said persons of color can read and write, and are almost entirely ignorant of the laws of the state of California, as well as of the state of Texas, and of their rights that the said Robert Smith, from his past relations to them as members of his family, we want no family, we were his slaves, does possess and exercise over them an undue influence in respect to the matter of their said removal, insofar that they have been in duress and not in possession and exercise of their free will, so as to give a binding consent to any engagement or arrangement with them. And the judge set us free, said he wanted to see Hannah and the child brought to him when they get stronger. And he said, it is further ordered and adjudged that all costs accrued in the case can up to the present date and in executing the present order of the judge here as to the production of said Hannah and her said infant 2 weeks old, and all of the aforesaid shall be paid by the said Robert Smith, given under my hand as judge of the First Judicial District Court of the State of California on the 19th day of January, A.D. 1856 at the city of Los Angeles. Benjamin Hayes, District Judge. Can you imagine the merriment And the Owens family, they say, you come and stay with us. We were not homeless for one day. They said, you come and stay. All of us. How many people I count? Me, my 3 children, my sister, 8 children, plus her grandchild, the child of Anne. All of us, they said, come and stay with us. And we had a big feast. The Owens family and other free Black people, happy for us. And the Black people that they can read, they can write, they acting it out. They acting like the judge. They acting it out. And we play back, free forever, free forever, free forever. And I gather up my cloth and everything, and I said, time to work. And one day on the road where the buggy passed, the buggy is going with the wagon, and a baby fall out, little boy. The horse almost going to crush him.
Yeah.
And I just ran and grabbed the baby. And the wagon stopped and they open. And the mother, and I give the baby to the mother. And there's a man inside the wagon. The man is George Benjamin Hayes. Child was Chauncey Hayes. And I tell them I'm a midwife. I know how to take care of children and sick things. And I help with their child. But the judge had a brother-in-law named Dr. Griffin. So the doctor comes and sees what I was already doing for the child. He asked me about what I know. And Judge Hayes is sitting quiet and he's thinking. He wrote it in a letter. He's thinking. It allowed fear to cause me not to free this woman. Would my child still be alive today?
Yes. Yeah.
And his brother-in-law, Dr. Griffin, when he saw my skills, he hired me as a midwife to work with him and paid me $2. Now, you people are talking about women and resistance. You can resist when you are poor, but if you find a way to get some money, it helps you to resist even more and help other people. So the Owens family, they had something, a little something, allowed them to fight for my freedom and the freedom of my children and my sister and her children. Allowed us to sleep well at night with food in our bellies until we made our own way. And Ellen and the Owens boy, they got married. And I did not take my $2.50 and say, I'm free. Now let me buy everything and do this and do that. Even now, some people see my picture and they say I could have worn something better or I could look different. If you ever see the picture, this is a picture. But I was focused. After 10 years, you hear what I say? After 10
years, yeah.
Some of you working 20, 30, or your whole life, don't own anything. After 10 years, I bought a prop that I rented out and saved until I bought the property for my homestead. And I helped many people. When the smallpox epidemic broke out, I used my knowledge of traditional herbs and I helped many people, prevented many people from getting smallpox, helped many people who got it to heal. But there were still a lot of deaths. And one of my daughters died very young, about 14 or 15. And then it was just Ellen and Harriet left. I did not have any more children. And I started to buy property. And the place that I bought my property today is known as downtown Los Angeles, in the heart of the city. That is where I had my property. But you know, I had a philosophy about myself. And my philosophy is this: if a hand is closed, nothing good can get into it. In the open hand is blessed, for it gets an inheritance and it gives out abundance as it receives.
Yeah.
So if you want to have, you must have a generous and open heart
To give.
and hand. And so in my time, coming from not knowing freedom to having freedom, some say I'm the first Black woman to own property in California. Black men owned property, but Black women
Women.
by
Yeah.
herself. Don't matter if I'm the first, the second, or the third. What matters is I'm not the last. But that what I did can give other people an idea of what they can do too. I never went to school. I still never learned to read and write. On all my contract for buying property, everything I did, I signed my name with an X. I depended on the Owens boy who's now married to my daughter, who knew how to read and write, to make sure that what they told me was on there is what was on there. Because that's also how they would cheat us.
True.
When there was a flood in Los Angeles, I opened up a place and then I told the other shopkeepers, I said, I'm putting this much credit. I'm putting this much credit on your books. If anybody comes in and they need to get food,
Make it available.
and they don't have the money, charge it to my account. I did not care whether they were Black, Mexican, today people say Hispanic, white, anybody who was in need. I said, charge it to my account. Then I bought this other plot of land and I gave the plot of land for the establishment of the first African Methodist Episcopalian Church in Los Angeles. That church congregation, the church still exists, not on the same place because that building burnt down. But I gave the church the land, and then for the first year, I paid the salary of the pastor so the pastor could concentrate on the work of leading the flock. I was not even a member of that church. I was a member of another church, many white people in that church, and I gave and supported that church too. Now, with the smallpox epidemics, many children lost their parents. I opened an orphanage. I paid for it, not the government. And then I opened the first school for Black children, because I knew the importance of getting an education. We need our own lawyers, our own judges, our own doctors, our own people to read and know and be free in every way. And eventually I had bought so much land in what is now called the downtown Los Angeles. That based on the land records, the property records, they estimate that when I finally died, that I was worth $300,000. $300,000. I died on January 15, 1991. Some people called me Aunt Biddy. Some people called me Grandma Biddy. But everybody knew that I was someone who was so grateful for my life and my freedom. I wanted everybody to be free and to live with some dignity. And so I opened doors not just for me and my family, but to help as many people and as many Black people, my Black community, as much as I could. But something happened that is also a cautionary tale. Some say that the reason why when I was buried with all the property and money I had, the reason I did not have a headstone was because my family was now fighting over my property. Eventually, my grandson, also known as Robert, was able to consolidate and he became the wealthiest Black person in Los Angeles. But then when the Great Depression hit, my family lost all that I had built up.
Wow.
And for a very long time, nobody talked about me. In fact, 97 years, it took 97 years before I was, in their words, rediscovered. And as they were doing some work, they found where my house used to be and some of what they call artifacts from my home. And in 1988, 97 years after I was buried, the richest woman in California, Black woman in California, maybe in the whole country, without a headstone, in what they called an unmarked grave. 1988, finally, my grave was given a headstone and marked in a public ceremony attended by hundreds who were then introduced to me and what I was able to do. And I only have 4 descendants today. I have my great, like the 6th generation, Cheryl Cox. And I also have one of them also has 2 children. Yeah. So just 4 left from my lineage. Today, my descendants, they have established the Biddy Mason Memorial Park near where my former property was. And now the city of Los Angeles has declared November 16th, the Biddy Mason Day. My full name was actually Bridget and then Biddy Mason. And the Mason, when I was freed, I didn't have a last name. So the Mason came from a name of someone that I had heard of when I was in Utah. And that is where I added Mason to my name so that I would have a last name like other people as well. I donated food and shelter to poor people. I founded and supported a daycare, a nursery. I worked with, like I said, those abandoned children. And I created a travelers aid center to help those in need or those who might need shelter or some assistance. Because I remembered if the Owens family had not taken my family in,
You would have been homeless.
even when we were given freedom, then how do we live free? My foundation today continues my work through education, housing, and mentoring activities. And my legacy is honored in murals, public art installations. There are different historical exhibitions. If you go down to downtown Los Angeles, there is a whole block, about 80 feet of a wall, where they tell the story of my life and what I was able to accomplish. So it's Cheryl Cox and then Robin Cox and then Robin's children, Daniel and Dakota. And Cheryl is the one who is the president of my foundation. And Robin is a professor at University of Southern California. As we talk about resistance, I don't know if you have any particular question for me. What I would tell all of you is you must learn to be useful to yourself and others. The skills I acquired, even under the brutality of slavery, paved the way for me to become somebody of stature and means when I finally attained my freedom. So whatever you can learn to do, whatever skill you can acquire, slave or free, no one can take that skill away from you.
Correct.
And your skills and your discipline to be the best with what you have might open doors for you that you don't even know exist. It was those skills and even the hardship, the physical exertion of walking 1,700 miles while tending all of this that gave me the ability to quickly see that child in trouble and reach and get that child before there was an issue.
Yeah.
But that act of kindness now got me to the attention of the great Dr. Robert Griffin. And because I got to work with him and he now started to pay me, that also opened the way for me to set up my family in a very different way. And this is one of the murals that they have up. And the woman right here, that is me, working with Dr. Griffin. And that man, which is, it's not something to be proud of just because it was a white man who said it, but because of the times. He considered me a medical peer because there were things I knew and understood about medicine and healing that he did not learn in his books. So I learned from him, but he learned from me, and he had respect for me. The other thing I would say is you cannot be free by yourself. If you are living well and you decide to just put your nose in the air and not care about other people, you cannot be free by yourself. And you don't know when situations will turn.
That you would need somebody else.
And so I used to go and visit people in the prisons and take food to them because I know what it is to be locked up for whatever reason. We were locked up so for our protection. But I always gave. I always believed that the hand that gives is open to receive abundance.
Yeah.
We'll stop there.
Yeah. Quick question. I mean, in light of the fact that you said in your case in Mason versus Smith that a black person could not testify against a white man. In light of what is happening in the United States right now and predominantly all over the world, but specifically speaking to the United States, the fact that black women are constantly at the forefront of resisting. What would you say to them in regards to the use of their voice, position, and community, bring that resistance in specific times like this?
We are the mothers. We are the ones who feel the first stirrings of that being growing in us. We are the ones whose internal organs have to be pushed out of the way and rearranged for the child to have room to grow. We are the ones who, by what we imbibe, provide nurture to that child to grow. And if we are sickly or infirm, that child might be too weak to be born or might be sickly and infirm when they're born. So if we do all of this and feel all of these experiences for the 40 weeks it takes for a child to become of the age where they can now live outside of the mother's body, is it possible that we stop feeling their heartbeat? Is it possible that having been connected via the umbilical cord for all that long, that because they are now not within the womb, we feel nothing? So when our community is under attack, I would expect nothing less than for the women to be fighting side by side and when need be on their own, as we have sometimes had to fight for our children, for our future, for our community. When a pregnant woman is carrying when she's carrying child, a woman is pregnant, you see she walks, without even thinking about it, she's putting her hand under her stomach as if to support. Your whole body changes to prepare for this child. Is it possible then, because the child is walking on the face of the earth, that your cells completely forget that you are a nurturer, that you are a protector? So I fully expect that in these times, and Black people, since we came to these shores of this country as enslaved people, because we were here before, but since we came as enslaved people, how many years have not been turbulent times?
Question.
Count it. How many? Let's tell your people to write an answer. How many years from, if you use the 1619 to 1865, if you give some notion of
Freedom
from 65 to 77, which is not true because we still had no land, nothing, we were destitute. But let's just, for the sake of argument, but we're still under siege in those 12 years.
Yeah.
Then from In 1965.
65, yeah. Civil Rights Act.
Jim Crow. Then we're still fighting for schools to be desegregated for equality of education until the 1990s in the state of Texas. Go and watch that movie. That young girl, Kiki Palmer, did a movie that's on Netflix. People call it Netflix. Called Alice. A black woman and her family who were still enslaved in the 1970s in the United States of America. They were still working as slaves. When did sharecropping end? When did convict leasing end?
That's still ongoing, is it?
By 1980, Reagan says no more affirmative action. Schools start to change So I say all of that to say, when have we not been under attack? When has it not been turbulent times? We got lulled to sleep, and mostly those who got a little bit and then closed their fists and forgot to keep working hand in hand with those who were still being persecuted at a different level. So we bought houses in fancy places and forgot the projects. But when they come for us, they don't care what is in your bank account. We must work together. So yes, women, black women, there's no other option than to resist. That's what we've always done. Our very existence, my life, staying alive through all those slave masters, staying alive through all the heartbreak, staying alive knowing I had no control over my body. That was an act of resistance. We were not only born to resist, we are born to win. And on this earth, I went from an enslaved woman, they called me a slave, ignorant. But ignorant only based on what they say is intelligence, because my intelligence was saving their lives, right?
Yep.
Ignorant of their ways, maybe. And even then, not so much. I just could not read and write their own things. But from there, I became a winner in every way. But the most important way was that I was a servant to my own people. Not a servant against my will.
Yes. Yes. On that very positive note, that is, we are born to win and win we shall. We've come to the end of another episode of Women and Resistance. But before we do go, next week will be the turn of Umbuya Nehanda. The name again is Umbuya Nehanda. Yes, do be prepared for another exciting and informative episode of Women and Resistance. But tonight, we thank Biddy Mason for stopping by. And any final thoughts?
In my life, I took more action than just talking. So what I will ask your people listening is, what action are you going to take? What action are you going to take? And I thank you for telling my story, because many people still don't know my story. But if I could accomplish what I did under the circumstances of my life, there is nothing any of you cannot do today. Nothing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yes, on that inspiring note, I would say good night and God bless. So next week, it's Nehanda Umbuya. Until next week, again, it's good night and God bless. Good night. That is it for this episode of Women and Resistance. Thank you for joining us in amplifying the voices of women who challenged injustice and changed the course of history. Be sure to subscribe, share, and continue the conversation. Together, remember, we honor the past, act in the present, and shape the future. Until next time, stay inspired and stay in resistance.